Welcome to Sales Velocity TV, where we pull back the curtain on how the top businesses in the world sell more with less resistance. Bringing over 50 plus years of combined sales experience and over 100 million in revenue generated, please welcome the hosts of Sales Velocity TV and two incredibly entertaining gentlemen, Andrew Cass and Aaron Parkinson.
Oh, the sales prevention department is rearing its ugly head again, Aaron. Here we are for another episode of the sales prevention department. If you're a listener for any amount of time here, I think we're approaching a year now on our show. We visit this topic about once a month or about every 4 to 6 weeks. And it's called the sales prevention department, where Aaron and I highlight a company, a business, online or off, that is legitimately, consciously in most cases, or I should say unconsciously in a lot of cases, right? Giving them the benefit of the doubt. They don't often know what's going on, but they're actually preventing and deterring sales from happening inside the business. And we are here to expose them so that you can learn how not to do that.
Sometimes it's easier to learn through other people's mistakes and realize, that could be happening in my own business. Maybe I should have a look at that.
Yeah, maybe it will motivate me to inspect a certain component of the business that may not be working a certain way. And by the way, most of the time what we see, Aaron, is they don't know what's happening when people, and I'm going to talk about this later, when the phone gets picked up. And that communication is oftentimes a meltdown. When a call comes in.
Communication in general, to be honest with you, because you're going to talk about phone today and I'm going to talk about on-site today. And they're both communication issues. So it's how much do you know about the communication that's happening inside of your organization, and who is actively in there doing a phenomenal job at preventing sales for your business.
And by the way, that person needs to be looked at as to whether they should still be on board. But hey, there's a good chance that maybe you, the business owner, did not train them correctly as well.
Correct.
I had my private mastermind group in, Aaron, yesterday, my 7-figure mastermind group here in South Florida where I live. They meet with me once a month, 6 guys. Great group. And we were talking about, a lot of them drive traffic. A lot of them are agencies.
Yeah.
So they drive website traffic cold to either a phone call or to a website, to a form, an opt-in. And where they get frustrated is where they lose control of that process. And you know this world as good as anybody. Yep. You can drive the best traffic, the most targeted traffic. You can generate leads at will. But if you're sending those leads into a call center or into an office where the pickup and that first impression is a meltdown, it oftentimes is all for nothing. And that's where some control gets lost from the business owner or from the marketing company driving the leads, is how are they being handled? And that's oftentimes what I see where the biggest prevention takes place. It's right at that first impression, is when someone gets involved and now it's manual. Is that person capable of having a good quality conversation, being very inviting, being very warm, being very welcoming, and getting them to the next step?
Representing your brand,
yes,
informing people properly, et cetera. So I actually have 2 examples today, even though this is going to be a relatively short show. One of them is around communications, and one of them is about tracking, which you're going to be like, tracking? But I'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to kick off the show today with, first off, a happy Friday to all of our viewers and all of our listeners going into December. Yes. Hope everybody had an amazing Thanksgiving.
First show of December 2021.
Yeah. And I'm going to kick it off today with my pool extension, Andrew. So I think, as you know, I have a big pool. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a waterfall off the end into an extension that was rectangular. So there was a place in the sun that people could stand. The rest of my pool is in the shade. And we approached a couple different contractors about doing this extension. And we settled on one good track record, did some research on them, did some great projects, looked at the projects they've done, so on and so forth. So I said to the owner, this is what I want to have done. Send me a quote, send me a timeline, right? And he said, here's all the stuff, blah, 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 blah. So I looked at the timeline. I thought, this is aggressive. He said, it'll be done in 30 working days. And I said, well, being that we're in the Caribbean, some inventory problems in the world right now, I don't think I'm going to
some.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I think you're looking at more like 60 working days. And no, 30 working days. And I said, look, I'm going away. This is, Andrew, before I came and saw you in Florida, had this conversation. Right?
Really?
We're talking about,
this is July.
Yeah.
We're December. You're still on the pool?
Right. So June, beginning of June is when I talked to this guy. And I said, look, I'm going away. I'm going to have to come back in quarantine. I don't want to be quarantining in my house without being able to use my pool. So if you really can get it done in 30 working days, start now. But if you can't, just be honest with me, because if I come back and my pool's not working and I'm in quarantine, I'm going to be pissed. Right? So if you can't, just wait until I get back and start then. No, 30 working days. This is June 1st. 30
he was
working
like
days.
He was being like firm about this, almost a little arrogant about this.
I was pushing back hard. I was like,
you would think a business owner would want that leeway.
Absolutely. I'm like, I'm not 911. If you want to wait just to be sure, nope. Good to go.
Nope.
I said, okay, have at it. Right? Went and visited you in Florida. Knew there was no possible way this guy was going to be done. This was now 6 weeks later, right? More than 30 working days.
Mm-hmm.
My pool officially finished, ready, done last week. Okay? I don't know how many working days it is from June 1st to December 1st, but it's not 30. You know,
Aaron, we're into 4 months. What is that conversation like now? I mean, the relationship's destroyed, which is probably where you're going here.
Right. So I'm asking him along the way, what's going on? Like, what's the holdup? Why are people not here? You know,
why were you firm about 30 days 4 months ago? How about that one?
Right. And these are things I'm bringing up. Right. And every time I'm bringing up how slow this is going, his response is to throw his team under the bus. So he's like, I told those guys they need to be here. I told those guys, what do you mean those guys aren't there? I told those guys just don't listen. Those guys are so unreliable. He's going on. And I'm just listening. I'm like, okay. Right. So when are they coming back? When is it going to be done? When is this part going to be finished? And every time it's not happening, he's just throwing this team under the bus.
That right.
So I'm not here to educate the pool guy, right? That's not my job, right? My job is to get what I paid for. But the whole time I'm thinking this guy has zero understanding of communication, because as he's throwing his team under the bus, I'm thinking in my head, they're your team. He's
the coach. They're his players.
You're a player. You're incompetent. You trying to push the blame off onto them for them not being good over and over and over again doesn't relieve you of the blame. If anything, now I just think you're an asshole for throwing your team under the bus, and you're incompetent because they're your team.
So now what? Where are you at with 4 months? I mean,
we're finished.
But is the pool done?
Pool's done.
Okay, so 4 months later.
4 months later. And I'm one of those guys where I just kind of tie up the bows, pay the guy, we're done, blah, 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 blah. And he probably thinks I'm super ecstatic because the pool looks amazing, right? Like the final product is fantastic, right? But the reality is, am I ever going to refer this guy to somebody else without explaining at minimum this story? Nah.
And here's what's going to happen, Aaron. People will come to your pool and say, it probably looks great if I had to guess, right?
It does.
They're going to say, it looks, wow, who did this custom work on your pool? That's what's coming. What are you going to say?
That's what's coming.
What will you say?
And I'm going to say, well, let me tell you all about it. Because it's funny to me at this point, right? And I'm going to share the whole story. And in their mind, they're going to be going, no, I'm never using this company.
So
ever.
Sales prevention, how he doesn't see the long tail effect of the amount of people that will come and see that pool. And the first thing they'll say is, who did that great? Because if they did great work, people will ask about it.
Right.
But if they did it in 4 months instead of 1, that's a problem.
From a communication standpoint, right? How I would have approached it differently is very much the Jocko Willink scenario, because we make mistakes. I make mistakes.
The extreme ownership approach, by the way, is what Aaron's mentioning there. So that's a great book by a former Navy SEAL. Is Jocko a former Navy SEAL?
Jocko Willink was a former Navy SEAL.
Big leadership speaker now, goes into companies, very big consultant now. And it's
$100K a pop per company, consulting them on extreme ownership, right?
The book is called Extreme Ownership, which we'll link to in the show notes.
Sure. So rather than taking no responsibility for it and constantly throwing his team of Jamaicans, which are probably underpaid to start with, under the bus, how he could have or should have approached it is, I totally, underestimated the scope of the project. I didn't know there was going to be labor shortages with everything that's going on. I didn't know that there was going to be inventory shortages and shipping was going to take longer. And I sincerely apologize. We're going to go as fast as we can. I'm going to be here on a daily basis, right? He never was here. He was here like once a week, right? To ensure that you feel like this experience can be as good as it can be considering the circumstances. Heck, maybe even I'll refund you a little bit of the money, or I'll throw you a gift, or, I apologize. It's on me. I'm going to take care of it to the best of the abilities. And I would have respected that, because I would have been like, it's construction. Things happen, even in my own business. I mean, even yesterday I had a client reach out to me and say, hey man, like, your team's kind of dropping the ball a little bit here. We're a little bit unimpressed with these elements. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. It's not at all the experience that I would expect or you deserve. Let me go speak to them. Let me make sure it's handled. I'll get back to you later today. Met with the team, sorted some things out, had a meeting. The guy messaged me back a half an hour later. Thank you so much for addressing our concerns. It's a sign of a true professional. We're super excited about working with you. We're going to move forward with a clean slate. Again, thank you so much for bringing it to my attention. We're going to make sure it's taken care of. Stuff happens.
Handled perfectly.
In your business, stuff happens, right? But finger pointing at other people as to why it's happening doesn't make you look less justifiable. It makes you look like an idiot, right?
Totally. Those are your own workers that you're paying.
It's your own workers, right? So this guy, Cass, you know me, we have people over all the time. Like, we're big on entertaining people, right? We can't wait to have a big party to launch this pool. There'll be people here all the time. This is how we're wired. Everybody's going to ask. Everybody's going to hear this story.
Man, look at that custom pool, and they're all candidates if they own homes, right?
Yep, and they all are.
And that's a chunk of money that guy will pass up on. Total sales prevention from a communication standpoint.
I would say probably $1 million to $2 million.
Yeah, and so it's two things. So it's sales prevention from a communication breakdown in the middle,
yep,
but also a setting expectations breakdown.
Why
would you want to be so adamant about 30 days when you know it's probably good? Why not under-promise and over-deliver? Like, that's the most common sense thing you could ever do in business. Under-promise, over-deliver. Give yourself some leeway. Don't put yourself in a bind where you know you're going to piss the client off. I mean, you're already starting at less than zero.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that up next, and I'm so happy that, this is why we work together, right? Is you touched on exactly where I was going next. Just set the expectation. Be like, look, there's inventory shortages, there's labor shortages, construction's going through the roof right now. Usually this would be a 30-day job that I could promise for you. But with everything going on right now, it might be 60 to 90. If we get done sooner, awesome. But I really want to set expectations properly here from the beginning. Everybody else who's telling you they can get it done in 30 days, they're probably lying. I see all these issues happening. I want to set the expectations clear from the beginning. If you're okay with that, we'll take the job. I would have been like, great.
And on top of that, I would have said, listen, but I can promise you this, whether it's 60 days or 90 days, you will be absolutely ecstatic with the result, and you will want to refer us to other people. I would be really not only setting expectations, but also keeping you excited and enthusiastic about the job.
Because then I would have looked at the whole thing through a different lens.
Totally different lens. Yeah.
I would have said, well, it took a little bit longer than 90 days, but there was a lot going on. He did tell me, but
and
man,
look how it looks.
I can't wait to tell everybody about this, the guy who did this amazing pool.
Now, I'll go even one step further for you. So in addition to expectations, and I know this isn't going to happen, which is going to bring me right to my example in a minute. I know for a fact, you can come back and tell us on the show in a couple of weeks, that there will be no stimulation of referral activity whatsoever.
Well, I highly doubt it, just because I don't think he's competent enough to do it.
That's my point.
I think he would feel embarrassed at this point even asking.
Well, he should. I mean, he'd have balls to ask, because he knows you're pissed off, right? But even if it was all done the way you said, I guess I'm asking you a hypothetical. Do you think that you would have gotten something in the mail, or you would have gotten an email, or you would have gotten a call from the team checking in, number one, and saying, hey, we work on referrals. Is there anyone you know that we could would it be okay if we showed the pictures of your job to a couple people you recommend us. Normally that's done well with a gift that arrives on when the job is done. Congratulations on your new pool, right? We work on referrals. If you know anyone who wants to put an extension on the pool, give us their name and number. We'll offer them a discount or we'll do something for you. Like that's called stimulation of referral activity. And so few do it. It's buy or die, rip through the transaction and on to the next.
And there's zero chance that would ever happen. With this. It should, but it wouldn't. But you just actually reminded me of something which makes it even better. So in the middle of this process, I've got a hole in the ground, and I'm texting this guy going, "What is happening? Why are there no people here? What is going on?" And I'm sitting in my office because my office looks over my pool, right? I see these strangers walk in my backyard. Okay, now keep in mind, his company is the company who built the original pool that we put the extension on, which is beautiful, by the way, because the owners previous to us built the pool and they engaged this guy, which was one of the reasons why I engaged him, because he knew the pool, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in my office wondering where the hell these guys are. And these strangers walk into my backyard. Never seen these people before. 3 people, they walk in and they're looking at my pool. And I'm looking at these people going, well, these don't look like pool installers, right? So I walk out on my deck and I'm like, how can I help you? And the one guy says, oh, I'm with XYZ Pool Company. I said, cool. And who are you two? And they said, oh, we're prospective clients. We're looking to build our own pool. And they told us we could come and have a look at yours. And so
So he gave them authorization to go look at your pool on your property without talking to you.
Without talking
this
to me.
guy isn't even mentally stable at this point. This is beyond.
Not even just showing up to my door and being like, hey, would you mind if we did? They walked through my gate into my backyard and they're standing there having a good old time looking at my pool.
Private property, no less.
Are you out of your mind?
Wow.
Like in Texas, they probably would have been shot.
Seriously.
Right? So I don't have the job you asked me, and you don't even ask me if you can have other people come in so you can use my yard to pitch your next customer. Like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, he's not playing with a full deck. I mean, it's just all around loose screws.
I totally forgot about that. And so you just stimulated that in my brain.
Jeez, that's terrible.
Sales, prevention.
I mean, if you're a referral business and you're listening to this right now, I would be thinking about every way I could to set expectations the right way. And then I would be thinking about obviously delivering the best product and service I can. And right behind that, how do I now follow that through with gift, follow-up, recognition, pictures, testimonial? Like what? I got them happy. How do I capture that on video or pictures of them like this in front of the pool? Like create a portfolio on your website of happy customers. Like what are the things I can do? Because these guys are artists. I mean, how do you capture your art and share it?
This was an $80,000 extension, Andrew.
And he treated it like it was a $2,000 extension.
Right? And the other thing that I would take away from this is when you screw up, own it and figure out how to solve it and apologize.
Yep.
And, it happens to all of us.
Yep.
There's no business that's immune to screwing up. It happens to all of us. Just own it, figure out what the problem was, put new processes in place to ensure it doesn't happen again.
I always know you have weak leadership when you can't own a mistake and then flip it and fix it. Find a solution.
Yeah.
See this in politics.
And the funny thing is that when you do that the right way, a lot of those people end up becoming your biggest fans.
They're happy with the fact that you owned it. You see this in politics all the time. When a politician makes a big blunder and they just keep defending it till the end, and it's like
doubling down.
It's like, are you serious? Just go be a leader and fix it. You made a mistake. Go get it right.
Yep.
It's crazy. Anyways, flipping over to mine. So I'm going to tackle the restaurant industry like I often do because I can't seem to wrap my head around how lackadaisical the restaurant industry is with follow-up based on repeat business or big ticket purchases or big ticket meals. And I had my private client group in last night, so it's a good example. I saw you were at one of my favorite restaurants. Yes, I'm actually preempting the sales prevention. Okay. Even because it's too new. What I think they should do and what I know they won't do is about to unfold in the next week, right? So place is packed. I have 7 clients in. It's $1,000 bill, bottles of wine. It's not a couple $100 dinner, right? So it's a big ticket purchase for a dinner. And if I'm the restaurant, I could look at my ticket size the next day and say, who can we reach out to based on what they spent? Or I could be smart enough better to find out, if I have a real database, to find out who's a first-time customer and who's a repeat customer and divide my communication that way. So what I would be expecting is, maybe it's too much to ask to think I'd get a phone call the next day, because that's kind of not scalable if they're doing 400 tables in a night. However, no capture of my email, no capture of any of my information making the reservation. So perfect time, by the way, to capture information is when the reservation is being made. Now, this is a reservation-only restaurant. All I did was give them my name, but you always have to give your number. It's unbelievable to me, Aaron, when you're giving a name and number, even if you just operate by text, to not be receiving text leading up to the reservation. But the biggie is what can happen after the reservation. The thank you. The I hope you enjoyed the meal. Would you rate it? Would you come back? Can we get you to come back and give you 20% off, or a free bottle of wine, 50% off a bottle of wine? Again, we're talking today, I think, in this show about the stimulation of referral activity. I think that's where we landed, right? That will not happen. There will be no communication. By the way, this is the best Italian restaurant in all of South Florida. I mean, super high-end, pricey, great experience, 2 waiters per table. They bring the complimentary appetizers, Italian style. Everybody's Italian. The after-dinner drinks. Stay as long as you want. No rush to move tables. Like, they want we're sitting on the water on the Biscayne Bay. It's 72 degrees in the beginning of December. Like, boats flying around. It's just a great experience. How can you not want to get people back to experience that? I will tell you right now, from a sales prevention standpoint, Aaron, that there will be no communication, email, text, or phone, ever. And again, this wasn't a cheap bill, so even if you looked at the big tickets that night and went after those, but I would go after everybody. Again, like I said in the beginning, is I would be looking at who was the first time, and I would be asking it in the beginning. Is this your first time dining with us, Mr. Cass? Oh, no, I've been there plenty of times. Okay, he's going on a different list. He's a repeat customer. Yeah, it's our first time. We're in town from Chicago, and we heard great things about Il Gabbiano, and we'd love to, we'd love to try it out as our first time. Different list. First time customer coming in. Different list. Multi-visitor coming in. We've had him before, and the communication would get split that way. And in my example, if you just did it by text, I mean, we're not even talking about capturing email. I can get to that in a minute. I have a field day with these restaurants. I would triple their revenue in 2 seconds. I just don't have time, right? But text alone, because you got it at the reservation. But here's what I would do at the table, is when you're checking out and you're doing the bill and it's all physical in person, the card, is I would get the email. I would say, can you give us your best email address? We are going to send you by email I'm just throwing this out there, a 50% coupon off your next bottle of wine when you dine with us again. What have I done?
Or even better, if you dine with us in the next 30 days.
Even better. You get it in a window, right? I like that even better, because you get them back quicker, right? So what have I done? And at the time of reservation, I have to give my name and my phone number. That's a given. So now I want to stop. I got phone data. Let me finish this one point. I got phone data in the beginning, and then on the checkout, I'm grabbing email data. It's like a double whammy. Now that person, me as the customer, I'm in a database. You got the date when I came, you have my email, you have my text, you have follow-up if somebody just did this as their role, if a marketing director came in, and this is a massive restaurant, this is like an easy 6-figure a day restaurant, right, on their busy days. Like, easily you could bring in a marketing person at $5 or $7 grand a month, which is like 2 meals, right? And they could just architect the making of the reservation data capture, the closing of the bill data capture, and the follow-up to make the person feel like, wow, we were honored to have you, and how do we keep you coming back? It's unbelievable how none of that will be happening.
Simple and brilliant, and obviously the show is sponsored by our software, Pipeline Pro, right? Where you could use Pipeline Pro to be putting this information into a database, emailing them automatically, SMSing them automatically, doing bulk emails, bulk SMSs, sorting them out based on bill size. There's a million of things you can do.
Clicks of the mouse.
Right? Clicks of the mouse.
Once it's set up.
Now, even if you said this, right? Even if you created a process with your servers, because Andrew, I served at high-end restaurants for a long time when I was younger. Even if you said to your servers, guys, there's a new process we're putting in place. Anybody who eats in your section on any given night that spends more than $1,000, I want you to set aside their receipt and bring it to the attention of XYZ, our marketing director.
Good point. Yeah. Segment it by price point now, right?
So they've got your receipt. They look at the reso book. They've got your phone number. Maybe they've got smart enough to capture your email in some way. And the next day they get you can do this inside of Pipeline Pro with one click of the button. Mr. Cass, so good to see you again. Thank you so much for bringing your group to our restaurant last night. We just wanted to check how your experience was. Oh, my experience was fantastic. Outstanding. Reviews are really important to us. Would you mind leaving us a review on this link? And whether you leave us the review or not, we would love to offer you a free bottle of wine on your next return. If you come back for dinner in the next 30 days, just
Beautiful.
to thank you for the wonderful experience that you offered us last night. In fact, we'd like to offer you our best table on November 30th, which is a Saturday night. Would you like to confirm that and claim this free bottle of wine? We'd love to see you again soon. Right? You'd be like,
by the way, I would be booking that reservation for me and my wife to go back within the next 2 or 3 weeks. That's what I would be doing. So you would I would bet in that example, which was great, by the way, that you would get 20 to 30% of the people who just left within 48 hours booking their next reservation within the 30 days. I love your idea of the deadline. So it's not lingering.
right.
Or you throw in, this offer expires in 60 days or whatever. You've seen that before with different offers.
Sure.
But here's the thing. We talk about this all the time on the show. All of this is the stimulation of more buying activity, increasing customer value, and keeping sales coming back again and again
And most importantly, it would have made you feel special instead of just another sheep rolling through the restaurant.
They are just so busy right in the right now of the moment, running around like a chicken with their head cut off, just saying thank you when you walk out the door, and then they're on to the next reservation, and they're on to Friday night, and they're on to Saturday night, and there's no thought given to look at all the valuable customers that we could get back with incentives, that we could get back with offers, that we could make happy, we could get great referrals. I mean, it's all, I can't even imagine the amount of revenue that could be boosted by just these little things alone. Now, it takes work. It takes getting a system in place, number one. Our system would do it. Any CRM system would do it. Ours is the best, so I'd use ours. We have the most amount of tools, text, voice, broadcast, email, all of it, right? All in one place. But any system will do it. But once you get the software in place, then it's a matter of, okay, who's going to architect it? And very few of these restaurants, in my example here, have a marketing person who can architect what I call the art of follow-up and follow-through. And that, to me, is the most valuable spend I think you could have in a brick-and-mortar restaurant, repeat business kind of a business. And so few do it. Very few look at their business like a marketing enterprise. They look at it like a brick-and-mortar. When we're open, they'll come, and we'll just do the best we can, and we'll just make as much money as we can. But there's no real thought to how do we scale this thing? How do we build a database, which makes it super valuable? They don't have a database. They don't have their customers anywhere.
Back in the day, when you had small restaurants, you and I both know this, the restaurant that you would always go back to is the one where you walked in and they knew your name. Mr. Parkinson, it's so nice to see you back. You almost became friends with the owner. They sat you down, take good care of this guy. He's a good guy, blah, 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 right? And now a lot of it has become very churn and burn. But if you implemented this technology in place, you would still give people the same feeling of that old school, pressing flesh, shaking your hand scenario, but you could do it in almost a completely automated fashion, right? And nobody does this. I find that nobody does this until things start going bad.
Yeah, they panic and they do it.
Right? Why would you wait until things start going bad? Do it while you're hot, so you stay perpetually hot for a decade. Don't wait until people are unimpressed with you and they move on to somewhere else, because it's very hard to get them back. So be proactive in this kind of stuff, not reactive. Don't think, oh, we're so hot, we're riding the wave, we don't need to do anything. No, you got a short time in the sun, traditionally. So take advantage of it and elongate it by some of these processes that we're talking about, and you'll have a long time in the sun.
I mean, I keep coming back to these. Now, listen, I could be wrong. I'll report back next week. I could get contacted today. I may get they don't have my email address. By the way, I've been going here for 15 years, so I'm probably beating a dead horse. This has never happened, right? And I love these guys, and they do a great job. They really care. You can tell you get in there, they care to take care of you. But it's amazing how little care goes into the post experience.
Right.
And that's really what we're talking about here. Same with the pool, same with the restaurant is in your business, what is the post-purchase experience? This is what we're talking about here. Sales prevention isn't just about preventing a sale at the onset. It's about preventing future sales because of the referral stimulation we're talking about right here. Aaron's guy is not getting a referral for the pool. I will continue to refer this restaurant, Il Gabbiano, because I love it and I always do. Because restaurants, I guess I have a looser leash, I guess, if you will, right? I'll continue to refer them because it's just great food, great experience. I would love to see, and I would be more enthusiastic about referring if the follow-up that we just talked about today was in place. But it doesn't matter. You don't need to be a restaurant to tackle these strategies. You just need to have a customer experience process that takes place after the sale. And most of you listening, you might be like, oh my gosh, this is a huge wake-up call for me. I don't have anything like this in place. I get a buyer or I get a client and like we just go do the work and like we're done and we finish it and we're on to the next one, and there's no gift, there's no referral process, there's no follow-up, there's no stimulation of what's next, there's no offer.
There's no making them feel special.
Yeah, I mean, there's no validating their great decision by working with you. There's no reach out. I mean, it's so rare today that we see any of what we're talking about, and it's a huge opportunity for growth and a bigger opportunity for differentiation. And that's the key today with all the choices we have out there today. If you don't do these things, you will not become unique and different, which is really the ultimate thing you should be after in business is how do I become more unique and more different? So I get attention and so I stay relevant. So few do it today. They just get caught in the rut of being like everyone else, doing the bare minimum and wondering, why can't I have that breakout year? Because you're not doing breakout things. That's the reason.
Well, and I'll add one more layer to that, right? You and me both, I think, are huge promoters. We're huge promoters of anything we love. Can't keep our mouth shut, right? If you think about everybody being the opportunity to be a massive promoter for your business, then what you want to do is you want to make them feel like they've bonded with you, make them feel special, tell them you have a referral program, incentivize them in some way. Really, it's about creating that feeling of like that tribal feeling of like, I really like these guys. I really like how I felt in my experience with them. I really want to share that experience with other people. Right? Andrew, my agency has run 0 ads in 5 years, right? 8-figure business, 0 ads.
Meaning,
why?
What you mean is you've not run any ads to promote yourself because you grow organically from within. I just wanted to get that clear.
Correct.
Because you're an ad agency, but you don't run any ads. People are like, wait a minute.
0, right?
Yeah.
We spend $10 million a month on ads for our clients, but we run 0, right? Because I'm constantly doing my best to create the best experience for them and letting them know, hey, we have a great referral program. If you know anybody that we could help, we'd love to talk to them. If your experience has been great, we'd love you to share it with them. I do my best to make them feel special and invest in them. And as a result, I'm always on a 1-month wait list, minimum.
It isn't rocket science. And here's the deal. Last thing I'll say is this stuff should be embraced because so few will do it. The best part about it is, I don't remember where I heard this from. I think it was from Dan Kennedy years ago. He said, embrace sophistication. Why? Because no one else will. And when you get through, like this is sort of sophisticated what we're talking about, right? There's tech that would need to go in place. There's manpower. There's expertise. You and I could do it in a week. Right? But putting the people in place to architect and get it, there's some sophistication involved. Most people resist that. I would embrace that because once you get a system like this in place, you are stealth and you will have no competition. There will be no other, in my example, restaurant, pool in your example, pool designer or whatever, architect. There will be nobody else that does it this way, which means you will have the bulk of the business and you will have very little competition and you will be way more rememberable. You will be more memorable to anybody any day because they go, remember what they did for us after the deal was done, after they had the dinner, after the pool. That's the piece that they remember the most. You have a black eye. You have a stain from this guy. Like this guy, you have a black eye for the pool company right now.
Well, and I want to, and I was going to end the show right here, Andrew, but I want to end it with an opposite example because you just spurred my memory. Okay. I have a friend down here who has an amazing construction company. It's called Encompass. sometimes he watches this show, so maybe I'll throw him out there. So he builds high-end properties, like really elite design, blah, 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 right? So he was building this property that's called a deck house on the Ritz-Carlton's property, right? We're talking, these houses are 5 to 9 million, right? Somewhere in that neighborhood. So he was building the house through COVID. So the people who engaged him to build it didn't live on the island. So they're getting updates through email, through Zoom, through phone call. They've never experienced the house yet, right? So they finally open the island. These people can come and see the house. The house is finished. They're coming in at 6 o'clock at night. It's now getting dark, right? And they're just like, hey, we're flying all day. We're going to get in at 6, blah, 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 blah. Can we all meet together and we'll go over the house? And his wife, who's a very high-end realtor, one does the construction, one's a realtor, right? She says, no, you cannot. We have not built this house for a year. Your dream house for you to show up jet-lagged, tired, roll in with your bags, look at it in the dark. It's not happening. What you're going to do is we've got you a room at the Ritz. We paid for it yourself. We're going to pick you up in a car. We're going to take you to the Ritz. We're going to order you some food. You're going to have sleep. You're going to get up in the morning when the sun is out. And we're going to go and see this thing the way it should be done. And they were like,
wow, that is what I call authority.
Right? And these people were ecstatic because these guys understand experience. They understand the experience of engagement. Same group, never run an ad in their life. All referral, all $5 to $10 million properties.
And people are raving about them, I bet.
Raving.
Yes.
About them.
And therein lies the lesson that we'll leave off with is how do you get folks to rave about you post-purchase experience leading up, during. Really, we focus today mainly on that post-experience. Game changer.
Absolutely.
And what's going to happen with the pool guy? Goose egg. What's going to happen with one of my favorite restaurants? Hate to throw them under the bus, but hey, if you get on the sales prevention department, nobody said it was going to be easy. Goose egg is what's going to happen, right? And I hate to say, I'll be back. Don't worry, guys. I'll be back. I love the place, but boy, oh boy, would I be just yelling from the rooftop if I.
Instead of a 1 week wait list for reservations there right now, if you were there, it'd be a month.
There you go. You're right.
And it would have every high ticket spender in the city going there because they all would have been taken care of and they would have felt bonded to the.
I can't even believe the repeat revenue that would take place when these things happen. It's unbelievable when you get a system like this in place, folks. So we're going to leave it there. A little bit of sales prevention today. Went a little longer than we thought. We get passionate about throwing companies under the bus. I mean, we don't do it. The disclaimer is we don't do it to be mean. We do it to be instructive for you, the viewer. And we'll visit this sales prevention topic about every month, every 6 weeks or so. Hope you enjoyed this one. All past episodes are at salesvelocitytv.com. Live every Friday in the public Sales Velocity Facebook group. That's Aaron. I'm Andrew, and we will see you guys next week on the next episode of Sales Velocity TV. Have a great one.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Sales Velocity TV is powered by Pipeline Pro, the ultimate all-in-one sales pipeline management and marketing automation platform that makes all others obsolete. And we can prove it. Take a tour at gopipelinepro.com. See you on the next episode.